Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, or Mr. Speaker. This is definitely something important for me to talk about. As we know, the member of Moncton Centre, whose family is from Dixon Point or Mickey's Mill or Buckdush, but represents Moncton Centre, so that's great. We're just happy to talk about the great work of the Minister of Finance on this file. And that's what I'm going to elaborate today, a little historical perspective on NBL, because I've had the chance to work with great people. I'll enumerate them too for the member from Dieppe, and we'll talk about that. So thank you, guys. So c'est un plaisir, Monsieur le Président, de prendre parole aujourd'hui à la Chambre pour parler de la motion 76. Nous avons entendu des préoccupations exprimées par les députés d'en face. Monsieur le Président, nous savons que tout, CanBL et Cannabis Nouveau-Brunswick, sont des actifs des bijoux pour notre province. J'ai eu le privilège d'être PDG président de NBL d'octobre 2010 à octobre 2013. L'impact économique estimé de NBL sur l'économie du Nouveau-Brunswick est plus de 200 millions de salaires et de rémunérations et 350 millions de dollars au PIB. Si nous examinons l'historique des données, nous pouvons constater que l'inaction du gouvernement président et le manque de vision de l'administration précédente sont les causes directes de l'inefficacité de Cannabis Nouveau-Brunswick. Dès la rentrée du nouveau gouvernement en 2018, c'est le ministre des Finances, it's the Minister of Finance, that took the reign of Cannabis New Brunswick, gave them direction, and told them to reorient or re-engineer themselves. So the reason why they're making money is because of the action of the Minister of Finance. Because if we would have gone on the same road as the previous government, they were going down. So, Monsieur le Président, following the New Brunswick election, provincial election of 2010, the management team and the board of directors of NBL were given a mandate by then Premier Allward to perform a strategic review of NBL. This strategic review focused on three areas: strengthening new retail strategies, increasing revenues and profits, and determine new ways to change the culture and the governance. As part of the new strategic review, management identified more than 50 opportunities throughout the independent search, assessing alternative business models and the practices or best practices of the other liquor jurisdictions, and by interviewing various management and operations staff. As many of my colleagues in the House may remember, myself and Rick Smith, Vice President of Finance at NBL, presented a strategic review to Cabinet in 2011. Also, I want to highlight the great people that I worked with during my tenure at NB Liquor. Employees like Mike O'Brien, the former mayor, Rita McDonald, who's working again in my office today, Mario Michaud, Richard Noyles, David Russell. Dave Russell was a great friend of Mr. Chiasson, Chuck Chiasson, the member from Grand Falls. So David Russell did great work for NB Liquor. Tim Seymour, Conrad Landry, Lise Cook, Lise McDougall. In my own riding of Moncton East, our liquor store manager, Gilles Leblanc, what a great guy. Gary Von Richter was tremendous help during my tenure at NB Liquor. Suppliers like Sébastien Roy from La Distillerie de Roy, Brad DeVerne from Molson, David Valiquette from Labatt, Andy Gauvin from Moosehead. And on my own riding of Moncton East, my beautiful riding of Moncton East, we have two great suppliers, Molson and Pump House. But I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we had great board members that sat on NB Liquor. Let me talk about the 5 board members that I had to work with. Number 1, Christian Michaud. I think you practiced law with the member from Moncton Centre. Art Doyle from St. John. Roland Cormier, 3 memberships of the Liberal Party, I think, for the last 50 years. Ron Lindala, our chair, the chair of the Liberal Party fundraiser. And more, the last member, the member from Bathurst, was on the board of NB Liquor. 5 purely political appointments. And the member from Moncton Centre is trying to tell us today how to run NB Liquor and Cannabis New Brunswick? Wow! Wow, 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 wow! 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 L'un des défis importants auxquels ANBL a été confronté dans le passé, c'est la rotation constante de direction. I felt that the longer-term direction was very important for ANBL's performance. To establish the foundation for the long-term performance of the asset, our strategic review recommended governance changes to the position, to the business as a leading retailer. So my highlights today in my review are relevant today, Mr. Speaker. My recommendation opportunities identified: operations. 1, strengthen new retail strategies by improving the overall customer experience and by restructuring the retail network. That's why we have alcohol in grocery stores, Mr. Speaker. 2, we increase the revenues and profits by investing in technology and in people. Because this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we believe in people. We explored cost reductions, internal opportunities, and new pricing strategies to the contribution of the province. Mr. Speaker, the most important recommendation was to determine new ways to change the culture and the governance of ANBL. We needed to review the governance structure of ANBL and drive transformation to a high-performance culture with focus on the long-term return on investment. At the time, I said the following: the future of ANBL was highly dependent on evolving the focus to operating on a full commercial basis in order to achieve future growth in revenue and profitability. This required a shift in governance practices that will enable change and to fully transform the culture of ANBL to a high-performance organization. In early 2011, the Board of Directors approved and revamped through the governance manual who implemented important and successes initiatives outlined in this report. ANBL engaged with stakeholders, and we reviewed our change in making the way we did business at NB Liquor. I recommended by adopting a formal and competitive recruitment program for our board and for our senior executive appointments. And this would include opportunities being made by public and appointments being made based on a predetermined criteria and screening processes. This process currently exists for the remainder of the executive team and the board. Monsieur le Président, j'ai également recommandé d'établir un processus d'embauche indépendant pour le recrutement du PDG basé sur les critères prédéterminés approuvés par le conseil d'administration et le lieutenant-gouverneur en conseil conformément aux règles de l'École Nouveau-Brunswick. Et enfin, finaliser un processus de gestion de rendement du PDG qui favorise le meilleur rendement d'entreprise de sa catégorie et l'atteinte des résultats commerciaux. L'objectif étant que ANBL soit en mesure d'attirer et de retenir les meilleurs candidats dans un marché de talent hautement compétitif. Quelles ont été nos conclusions? Nous avons donc conclu que la mise en œuvre de ces opportunités a permis à ANBL de continuer à fournir des contributions financières significatives à la province, tout en maintenant un niveau de satisfaction des clients et des employés, mais un service amélioré à travers la province. ANBL est un employeur majeur et le candidat retenu que le conseil d'administration choisira a un rôle important dans la gestion de la société d'État de 500 millions. Mr. Speaker, it's great to see how ANBL has grown since the strategic review of 2011, and I know our strategic review has lots to do with it. The successful candidate will play a key role in continuing to grow a strong beverage alcohol industry in this province, in collaboration with stakeholders and small business. He or she will be responsible for enhancing the economic impact of this industry to generate much-needed revenue for government programs and services. As you can imagine, Mr. Speaker, this position is incredibly important, and we're taking this matter very seriously, Mr. Speaker. Le revenu de cette industrie est de créer la communauté dynamique et durable en soutenant les principaux services du gouvernement offerts aux résidents du Nouveau-Brunswick. Cela comprend les hôpitaux, les écoles et les projets d'infrastructure. Le budget capital de 2021-2022 que notre gouvernement a déposé en septembre dernier comprend 307 millions de dollars pour l'entretien et l'amélioration des autoroutes, des routes et des ponts. Un montant supplémentaire de 62,2 millions a été alloué à l'entretien et l'amélioration des bâtiments gouvernementaux et d'autres infrastructures. Monsieur le Président, les gens du Nouveau-Brunswick veulent et ont besoin d'un gouvernement abordable et réceptif. Mr. Speaker, we believe in transparency and accountability. This recruitment process must be fair, credible, objective, and remove any false sense of perception of political interference. It's important that the recruitment process for a candidate of this caliber be extensive and focus on finding the right individuals with the right skills and background for the job. The successful candidate will need to be someone who can bring their experience and expertise to the corporation, someone who understands the priorities of New Brunswickers and will help achieve our goal of managing taxpayers' money in a responsible way. And the board of ANBL Cannabis New Brunswick, I believe, agree. As a Crown corporation, ANBL operates at arm's length from government and is overseen by a board of directors. The board's mandate is to run a successful business and to properly manage alcohol and cannabis retail in New Brunswick. Mr. Speaker, to further lend credibility to this process, the board has recommended and retaining an independent human resources professional to review prospects of the CEO board, as the minister has just indicated. On a beaucoup de candidatures. Le professionnel des services en ressources humaines indépendants sera maintenant en mesure d'examiner ces candidatures en fonction du mérite et de l'expérience de fournir à ANBL une liste restreinte des meilleurs candidats. Les Nouveaux-Brunswickois s'attendent des résultats concrets et cela doit rester nos objectifs. Nous avançons avec confiance, stimulés par l'élan qui continue à se développer dans cette province. Monsieur le Président, nous avons pleinement confiance qu'ANBL fait preuve de diligence raisonnable et trouver le meilleur ou la meilleure candidat qui appuiera notre vision et la croissance de notre province. And if the member from Moncton Centre feels so strongly to spear the reputation of public servants, how about you go outside and tell that to the media and see if you say the same thing. We have great public servants that work for the province of New Brunswick, and smearing them in this house, the people's house, is not the right thing to do. So that's why I'll be definitely supporting the minister's amendments. We truly believe in an open and transparent process, and we got to make sure that the board of NB Liquor gets the right person, he or she, because it's truly ANBL Cannabis New Brunswick is an asset for New Brunswick, is an asset moving forward, and that's why we want to make sure that it has the proper management and leadership to move forward. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.